What is up, guys? In today's video we're going to be going over Texas Rig 101. Here we go. Okay guys, like I said, today's video is Texas Rig 101. And first I want to talk about my terminal tackle when I'm doing Texas rigs. First I want to talk about my weights. The weights that I use are lead worm weights. I normally throw 3/16 ounce in the lead and throw about 1/4 ounce in the tungsten, and I use the tungsten for flipping and this for my lizards and worms. It's just really personal preference, whatever you like to use. And then onto the hooks. The first hook, and the one that you can use for most of your baits, but I choose to use different ones, but this is the one that I work with almost all of your baits. It is a 3/0 EWG worm hook, offset worm hook, and I like the extra wide gap for like my flukes or my worms or my lizards because they have a little bit bigger bodies and you can get a better hook set, I feel like, because of the extra wide gap. That's just personal preference also. And then for my next hook is a offset worm hook straight shank 3/0, and this is for like my bigger baits like the Bandido bug, and that's really the only one I use that one for. But then this 2/0 offset straight shank worm hook, I'll use this one for like my soft plastic frogs or my craws and lizards, and that's what I'll normally use this one for. Alright guys, so now let's talk about the baits I like to throw at the Texas rig. First off, it's just a worm. I like throwing like this 5 or 6 inches, and yeah, I'll normally throw in the EWG. Second favorite bait to throw on a Texas rig is a Craw. This is the Wrecking Craw by Catchco, and what I really like about this is it's got these actual lifelike claws instead of just flat ones that are a little flimsier, but this just gives it a little more extra weight, and I think it looks more natural. Then my third favorite bait to throw on a Texas rig is this Bandido bug by Guggen Baits. It's a creature style bait, and I normally like throwing this for like bed fishing, and I normally throw this on the 3/0 hook. Now my fourth favorite bait is the lizard, and I like throwing this in a ton of different situations: bed fishing, ripping it through grass. I just like using it for a ton of different situations. Then my fifth favorite bait, soft plastic jerk bait, soft plastic fluke, whatever you like to call it. I'll normally throw this as like a soft plastic jerk bait if there's a lot of grass and I don't want to throw a normal jerk bait. And then last but not least, this is the soft plastic frog, and I'll normally throw this when the bass are super aggressive. The bite is really hot, and I know they're chasing bait, so if I put this on a smaller, like the 2/0 hook, and I'll burn it across the top of the water, that's when this is really going to come in key. And so that's the 5 main soft plastic baits that I like throwing on a Texas rig. Okay guys, now into this part of the video, we're going to be doing the rigging tutorial. And I'm gonna do the tutorial on the worm just because it's the easiest one to rig. In my opinion, it's just the easiest one to show. So first off, I want it to come out on this side of the bait because there's this little canal that'll make the hook, this bait, a little more weedless than it already is. And that's what you're using Texas rig for, is because you want your bait to be weedless or not get caught in as much brush or get snagged because you're going to be flipping and throwing in heavy cover. So for the rigging process, you're going to take your hook, and whatever side you want it to come out on, you're going to put your hook on the opposite side. So I'm going to enter it into the middle right here of the bait, and I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to pull it all the way down, and then once that eye is about inside of the bait, I'm going to rotate. And then I'm going to pull until this shank is right there. And then I'm going to take the hook and I'm going to put it on the side of the bait so I can mark the bait where I want the hook to come out of. So I'm going to mark it right under where that bend is, right where that bend is. I'm going to mark it with my finger. And then I'm going to take the bait through and I'm going to bend the bait. And I'm going to put the bait in the middle of the bait. and right on the spot where I marked with my finger. And then that bait's gonna come through nicely through here. It's gonna be like that, inside of that canal. And so it's already weedless. But to make it more weedless, I'm gonna bring it out and bring it back into the bait and pull it through. And so you can't see the hook anymore because I put it back into the bait. And how you do that is, so when your hook is out, I'm gonna put it in. And so it's gonna be right there in that canal, but I'm gonna bend it like this, and I'm gonna bend the bait, and I'm gonna push the hook onto it. And that's gonna make the bait completely weedless. So the hook isn't on there. The only way you're gonna get weeds on this is if it gets caught on the hook or in between this hook right here, which doesn't happen very often. And so normally what I like to do with the worm is I like to do that, or if it has this canal, sometimes if I'm not fishing as much brush, I'll leave it like that. So now on to the other baits. So my second favorite bait, which is the Craw. I'll normally use my smaller hook, the 2/0 straight shank worm hook. So I want the hook to come out on this side because this side has the canal that I was talking about. So I'm going to put it on this side. So I'm going to enter the bait in the middle, on the top, to the bend, pull it out, pull it all the way down till the eye's almost in the bait, not all the way though. Rotate it, pull it until the bend comes out, put it to the side, mark it, put it in the middle of the back of the bait, make sure it comes through. Make sure it comes through on the canal because that's the reason you're putting it in on the canal side. And so right now it's not completely weedless. Still getting my finger caught a little bit. So I'm going to push it back down into the bait. Then I'm going to pull it into the bait so it's completely weedless and it's in the bait. When you get that hook set and it bites, the hook's going to come right out. So that's the reason I like entering into the bait because one, you're not going to miss very many because when you get that hook set, boom, it comes right out of the plastic. So you're not going to miss very many fish, even though you're saving yourself time by not having to pull off a ton of weeds that get stuck on your hook. Okay, so for the next one, I like throwing the Bandido bug, and that's what I like for throwing bed fishing. But instead of the 2/0, I'm going to throw the 3/0 offset worm hook, just because it's a bigger body. And so I want it to come out on this green side. Let's say I want it to come out on the green side, so I'm going to enter it on the blue side. So I'm going to take it till the bend. Right here, I'm going to take it till the bend. I'm going to bring it down till the eye goes in. Rotate, pull, till the shank comes out. Mark it with my fingers. Enter the middle of the bait. And you'll get the hang of this as you keep doing it more often. That's a good Texas rig right there, where the bait is completely straight, so it looks more natural. But now it's not completely weedless because I'm still getting a little stuck. So I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to pull it this way, and I'm going to re-enter it into the bait. So it's completely weedless now, but when I get that bite, the hook's going to come right out, and I'm going to get that good hook set. That's how I like to rig the Bandido bug. Now the next one is the soft plastic Fluke. And so for that one, I'm gonna use this EWG. And I want it to come out. I want it to come out on this side because this hook, I want it to be inside of this canal right here. So I'll show you that real quick. So for the soft plastic Flukes, there's this canal. So you want to come out on the top. So you're gonna put it down in the middle of the bait, come all the way down to the bend, come through, all the way down till the eye's almost through, pull till the shank is exposed, bring to the side, mark with your fingers, and make sure you're not pulling the bait down so you get accurate. Then you're gonna mark it, then you're gonna bring it through the canal, and you're gonna put it through the middle of the top of the bait. Then you're gonna bring it through. And like I said, now that hook is in the canal, so it's even more weedless. It's not just the hook on this one, because on the worm, they can, in the other baits, they can still get inside of this hook groove right here. But this, it can't, because this hook is in the canal. And so now this is almost completely weedless. This is how I normally throw it. But if I'm like jerking it through like grass or something, I'll re-enter it back into the hook, and then on those hook sets, it'll just come right out of this plastic. So it's easy. And this is probably the one I throw more often, but it's not my favorite, but this is the one I throw more often. And then the final one I like to throw is this soft plastic frog. And I'll throw that on the 2/0 offset worm hook. And again, I want it to come out on the top, so the hook is on the bottom of the bait when I'm burning it across the top of the water. So I'm going to enter it in the top until the bend. And this one's a really shorter body, so the hook's literally as long as the body, as you can see there. That's off top. So then we're just going to enter it and pull it down. Dang, this plastic is strong. And then you're going to rotate it until the shank is exposed. And then you're going to bring it to the side, mark it. You don't really need to mark it on this one since it's literally just as long as the bait itself, but that's fine. And then I normally don't re-enter it back into the bait like I do with the ones that are going underwater, but since I'm burning this across the top of the water, this is the only part that's going to be touching any grass. So I don't really need to put this back into the bait unless I'm fishing and cover and I'm burning it on the side of cover. I'll do that just in case I cast into that cover. But this is really how I rig that plastic frog, and the hook just comes exposed. So that's really it. That's how I like to rig my 5 favorite baits for the Texas rig, and that's how I like to rig them. And now let's get into the setup. Okay guys, now we're going to talk about the setup that I use for each and every single one of those baits. So first off, I'm going to use this 6'9" medium heavy, and this rod, its backbone starts right here, so its bend isn't very big, and so you can get that really good action, and that's what I like to use for the jerk bait and the worm. And so because those baits don't really need an action per se because they don't have those appendages and tentacles like the other baits do. And so I just need that real not so bendy tip, especially with that jerk bait, so I can jerk it and it can pause and settle and then jerk it. And that's what I like to use. And then the eliminator, the plastic frog, you don't really need any specific rod or reel for that because you're just really burning across the top, so that one really doesn't matter. And then for the craw, the Bandido bug, and the lizard, that I'm going to use this 7-foot medium heavy, and this rod has a softer tip, more fragile tip, and you can really get those appendages moving, and it kind of falls a little bit different than if you were using this rod. And when you pop it up and down, it's got a little bit different action, and it really makes those tentacles and appendages really act up. And right now I just have a jig because I was just fishing with a jig today. And that's really what I like to use. And this reel, I believe, is a 6'4" to 1, and that one is a 5'3" to 1. And so it really doesn't matter what kind of reel you're using. It just really matters of the action of the rod, because with those baits, if you get those appendages moving right, or if you don't jerk that fluke hard enough, the action will get all messed up and you won't get as many fish attracted to your bait as possible. Now, I hope you liked the video, and I will see you next time.